The hum is a constant companion here, a deep, sub-level resonance in the very air of Area 51. For 20 years, that hum has been the soundtrack to my life's work, spent staring into the endless cascade of data from deep space, searching for a single, coherent whisper against the cosmic static. My name is Dr. Elias Vance. They think this place is about crashed ships and alien autopsies. The truth is far stranger. 6 months ago, we found it. Not a radio wave, but a directed energy pulse, structured with an intelligence that screamed of intent. It was a call, leading us to a dying star system and a single, cloaked vessel that followed the signal's path back to us. It now orbits our world, a silent sentinel waiting for an answer. They reached out to us through thought forms, a direct neural link that bypasses language. Their message was not one of conquest. It was a plea. They are the last survivors of a world ravaged by a relentless interstellar aggressor. They are refugees, and they are asking for asylum. Now the handful of us who know the truth are faced with an impossible question. How do you tell a world that expects invaders that they are being asked to welcome orphans?
The first time I truly saw one of them, I was in the deep-level telemetry room, staring at the energy signature of their ship. It came without warning, not as a voice in my head, but as a fully formed image, a memory that wasn't mine. The hum of the servers faded, and for a moment I was standing in a place that wasn't Earth. Before me stood the traveler. It was tall, impossibly slender, wrapped in simple dark blue robes. Its skin was the color of pale alabaster, with faint, bioluminescent patterns that shifted beneath its surface like slow-moving constellations. It had no discernible mouth, but its face was dominated by 2 large, dark, liquid eyes. There was no pupil, no iris, just a depth that seemed to hold the sorrow of 1,000 millennia. In those eyes, I saw not malice or superiority, but an ancient, profound exhaustion. It raised a hand, long, with 3 elegant fingers, and I felt a thought slide into my mind, as clear as my own. We are the Signian. We are the last. Do you see? The image was a gift, a gesture of trust. They weren't hiding. They were showing us their vulnerability, the face of a people on the brink of extinction. That night, this stopped being a theoretical problem about a signal. It became a moral question about a soul. The next morning, I stood in briefing room Gamma, the Lion's Den, a sterile, windowless room where science meets military brass. I presented my findings to a council led by General Marcus Thorne. Thorne is a man carved from granite and skepticism, who sees the universe not in terms of wonder, but in terms of threats and assets. I played the energy signatures, I showed the telemetry data, I did my best to describe the mental contact, the image of the Signian. The scientists in the room leaned forward, their minds racing with the possibilities. The military men just stared, their faces unreadable masks. Thorne let the silence hang in the air after my presentation. Then he spoke, his voice low and gravelly. So, to be clear, Dr. Vance, an unknown vessel of unknown capabilities, crewed by beings of unknown biology, is parked in our orbit, claiming to be refugees, and they've been whispering in your head. He said the word whispering as if it were a disease. What you call a plea for help, I call an unprecedented security threat, or, he added with a glint in his eye, an unprecedented opportunity. In that moment, I realized the real first contact wasn't between humanity and the Signians. It was between hope and fear, right here in this room. That night, they reached out again. They must have sensed the hostility, the doubt. They needed me to understand. The experience was overwhelming. I wasn't just seeing an image, I was living a memory. For a breathtaking moment, I stood on a balcony in a city made of woven light and crystal. Spires of impossible height pierced clouds of soft, rose-colored gas. Graceful, silent vessels moved between them on rivers of light. The air itself hummed with a quiet, harmonious energy. It was a world without conflict, a civilization that had transcended base emotions in favor of collective artistic and scientific pursuit. It was beautiful. And then it went dark. The memory shifted. The sky tore open, not with fire and explosions, but with a silent, spreading wrongness, a consuming shadow as they projected it. It wasn't a fleet of ships, but a formless, geometric plague of machines, a von Neumann probe swarm gone rogue, an ancient automated system designed by some long-dead race to sterilize galaxies, and it never received the command to stop. It travels from system to system, consuming all matter and energy, converting it into more of itself, and moving on, leaving behind nothing but absolute zero. It cannot be reasoned with. It cannot be fought with conventional weapons. It is less an enemy and more a force of nature, like entropy given a malevolent intelligence. The Signians weren't defeated in a war. They were weathered away, eroded by a storm that had been raging across the galaxy for longer than humanity has even existed.
I presented the new data to the Council, the information about the null, the confirmation of the Signians' desperate situation. I thought it would foster empathy. It did the opposite. It fostered greed. General Thorne saw it immediately. A machine plague, he mused, a predatory smile on his face. The perfect unseen enemy, an existential threat that can't talk back. He laid out his plan. It was as brilliant as it was monstrous. They would leak a fabricated story to the President and the world that we had engaged and disabled a hostile alien scout ship. Not the truth about refugees, but a story of American strength. He argued it would unite the world behind them, justifying a massive increase in military spending and global surveillance. The Signian ship would become the ultimate bargaining chip, their advanced technology the prize. "We can't show weakness, Doctor," Thorne told me. "We must control the narrative. This is how we bring the world into a new era, our era." He was asking me to be complicit in the first great lie of the interstellar age. I couldn't sleep. Thorne's plan felt like a desecration. That night, I initiated a direct, deep-level communication with the Signians, focusing on their vessel. I needed to know what we were truly dealing with. Their response was gentle and heartbreaking. They sent me a new vision, a tour of their ship. It wasn't a warship. There were no weapon systems, no barracks for soldiers. It was an ark. They showed me vast, silent chambers where millions of cryopreserved embryos, the genetic future of their race, floated in glowing pods. They showed me the data cores, crystalline structures that held their entire history, their art, their music, their philosophy. And they showed me the biodomes, where the last living seeds of their world's flora were kept in a state of perfect preservation. Their ship wasn't a threat. It was a seed bank for a dead civilization, a lifeboat carrying the memory of a world. The thought of Thorne's soldiers tearing it apart, trying to turn their life support systems into weapons, filled me with a profound shame. We weren't just deciding on asylum for a few survivors. We were deciding whether the memory of their entire species deserved to live on. The Signians are empaths. They felt the shift in our facility. They sensed the rising aggression, the predatory intent emanating from Thorne and his faction. Their next communication was different.
It was still polite, but it was firm. The dissonance among you is growing, the thought came into my mind. Your patterns of thought are becoming chaotic, aggressive. We sense a desire to contain, to control. This is the precursor to the same thinking that created the null. The message was a quiet, devastating ultimatum. A decision had to be made. Their ark could not orbit our world indefinitely. Their energy reserves were finite. Their cloaking was not infallible. They asked for a clear, direct signal of acceptance, a beacon of welcome that would guide them to a safe, designated landing zone. If no such signal was received within 72 hours, they would accept our silence as rejection. They would depart our system and journey on into the great empty dark, towards a fate they knew was almost certainly extinction. The clock had started. I knew Thorn would never give that signal. He would let the timer run out, report that the hostile ship had fled, and use the event as proof that his aggressive posture was the correct one. He would win, and the Signians would be lost forever. I couldn't let that happen. There are protocols within Area 51 that no single person is supposed to be able to bypass, but I had spent 20 years in this system. I knew its ghosts, its backdoors. I worked with 2 other scientists, a young bioethicist and an old communications engineer who believed as I did. For 48 hours, we worked in secret. We couldn't launch a global broadcast, but we could send a direct, high-frequency signal to the Ark. We designed a beacon of welcome, a simple message coded in the mathematical language they had taught us. It wasn't a message from the government of the United States. It wasn't from the people of Earth. It was a message from a handful of scientists acting on their own conscience. A declaration that said simply, "We see you. You are welcome here. This is a place of sanctuary." It was an act of treason, and it was our only hope. The main transmission hub, a room that can send a signal to the deepest reaches of space. The program was loaded. The signal was ready. All it needed was my final authorization. My hand hovered over the console. Is this the right thing to do? To invite an alien civilization to our planet against the will of my government? To unleash social and political forces that I cannot possibly predict? Torn would call this the ultimate betrayal. Maybe he's right. But then I think of the memory of their city of light. I think of the silent, sorrowful eyes of the traveler. I think of the Ark carrying the last spark of a billion-year-old flame. We are a species of fear, of conflict, of suspicion, but we are also a species of compassion, of hope. Maybe this is our test. Maybe this is the moment we finally prove to the universe and to ourselves that we can be more than just the violent children the benefactors believe us to be.